3, 2, 1.
You ready?
You're listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Real Pineapple. This is your humble host, Hunter, here. Hope you're all having a great start to your week so far. I've got a review here for for the latest Disney film, Cruella, which is directed by Greg Gillespie. If you don't know that name, you probably should. He's directed several things that you probably know, including I, Tonya, which, my God, do I love I, Tonya. He also directed The Finest Hours, which, but he also directed Lars and the Real Girl, which I fucking adore that movie, and $1 Million Arm, which I think is a incredibly underrated Disney film as well, especially on the sports spectrum. He is also going to be the director for Pam and Tommy, the Sebastian Stan, Lily Collins miniseries coming out, as well as the Iron Mike miniseries as well. So he's directed some stuff, including 6 episodes of United States of Terror, which, if you have not seen that, I highly recommend you do. The writing team for this, for me, is fascinating because it's Dana Fox and Tony McNamara. So you know Dana Fox as a producer and a writer. She wrote one of my least favorite romantic comedies maybe ever. So she wrote Isn't It Romantic, which I thought actually had its moments. I thought was cute at points. I didn't feel as tortured as I normally do during a Rebel Wilson film. And she also wrote What Happens in Vegas, which I fucking hate. What Happens in Vegas. She was also a writer on, she was also a producer on New Girl, which, go figure. But, and then we have Tony McNamara, who I mentioned, who wrote The Favorite, which, that kind of worked out well for him. And also wrote The Great, which is on Hulu, which I haven't seen, but I've heard nothing but great things about, pun intended. But he also was a writer on Doctor Who from 2016 through the current season. So a very interesting just collection of talent here. And of course, it stars Emma Stone, who of course you know from multiple things, Easy A, The Help, why am I blanking? Birdman, of course, La La Land, which, but overall, though, we have to talk about the fact that Disney has just been getting insane with their live action remakes. It feels like they are just remaking every goddamn thing because fuck it, they can, unfortunately. And while I have sat here on microphone and praised the works of the Marvel films that they've done, and on occasion praised the Lucasfilm stuff that they do, Disney has just gotten to a point where they're such an empire that they can do what they're doing now. They can remake their own stuff. And admittedly, the live action remakes have been a mixed bag for, every Lion King, which I know it's not a live action remake, but remake nonetheless. But for every Lion King and Cinderella, which I think both of those were really well done, you do have, your Dumbos and your Mulans, which I never reviewed Mulan, but So heading into this, I was very much going, oh shit, all right, well, what the hell are we going to get here? And I have to admit, this film is much better than it has any right to be. I remember reading multiple, and I think it was really the popular consensus online, that this was going to be Disney's version of the Joker. And it's really not. It's more their version of Devil Wears Prada, with an intense revenge aspect thrown in. Which, I mean, you could obviously say for Devil Wears Prada, but as far as the revenge, I'll get to that. We start off with a young Estella, who I don't have the actress who played young Estella, but she does a really good job. And she is going ahead and just, hanging out for mom, being a kid. And I really do appreciate that the movie itself goes out of its way to really establish that Estella could have stayed Estella if things hadn't gone the way that they did. Because the big question going into this is obviously, how are you going to create sympathy for the woman who we know wants to make a coat out of fucking puppies? And I will say that while the leap, and it is a leap, I will be the first to admit, it is a leap for some of the things that they go ahead and present here, because even my partner and I a couple times looked at each other and went, really? This is where this is where we're going with this? Fair enough. The thing I will say about this film, though, that I was actually impressed with is that the movie really does lean in to all the insanity, for, good or bad. And, if you want to say that that's an issue that you have with the film, fair enough. But for me, to really justify this film's existence, it kind of needed to go a little crazy with it. And so they actually do a good job with that. But young Estella, she's going ahead. She's at a private school just because she's so a very proper school. She is very much the black sheep. She's the rebel, as it were. She already has the Cruella hair when we meet her. I want to say she's like 9 or 10, which I definitely giggled at. I went, oh wow, yeah. If you saw this hair back in the in the 50s or 60s. Pardon me, you'd probably be incredibly pissed off too if you were a teacher, because teachers are fun. But the thing about this film, it presents Cruella as a split personality. It really kind of makes that, I don't want to say canon, but for what they're setting up, that is kind of the axe they go ahead and grind and lean into. And some people have an issue with that because, people have an issue with everything. But I will say, for me, that was something I went, okay, that's a very interesting notion, because Cruella as a film does go ahead and develop. She sees herself as an artist. And so I found the notion of, your normal, civilian persona versus how you make art and the headspace you get into to create art. I found that actually really interesting. And if there is a complaint I have, I really do believe there's more material to mine there, and I feel like they kind of just stopped short on that front. So I would have appreciated a little more digging into her psyche from that aspect, independent of the revenge plot. The thing about Cruella, which is insane, is that her and her mom go ahead and fall on hard times, and so they go ahead and end up at this party. This party has a woman there, and this woman, and I'm going to try to stay away from spoilers, but I kind of need to spoil this in order to get where we're going. This woman sicks Dalmatians on Estella's mother, and so these Dalmatians knock Estella's mother off this cliff, and I went, what the fuck? Like, it caught me so off guard. I went, wow, this is where you're taking this. And so that, of course, is a huge thing that leaves Cruella or Estella at the time, to be an orphan. And so she ends up going ahead and being able to travel to London, where she goes ahead and meets a young Jasper and Horace, who, of course, grow up to be, the versions of the characters that we know and love, ? Jasper is played by Joel Fry, who I haven't really seen in anything, so I was a little, I feel like I've seen him in he was in Game of Thrones. Okay, why didn't I recognize that? I don't watch Game of Thrones, or didn't watch Game of Thrones, but I've seen him in clips. But the actor, Joel Fry, and Paul Walter Hauser, who plays Jasper, or Horace, pardon me. I've seen in quite a few things. You recognize him as Sean of My Tanya, Ivanhoe from Black Klansman, Simon in the Five Bloods, Richard Jewell and Richard Jewell. The thing about this movie that I really was impressed with is that their chemistry, even when they're kids, and I don't have the kid actors' names here, sorry kids, but the young versions of themselves, when Estella just breaks down after she meets them, because Horace and Jasper, they're con kids. They're going ahead and doing what they can to do to survive. They're pickpockets. They're actually the good version of Cassandra Cain, and and they're going ahead and living basically in this not a shack, but in this spot that they're very much hidden from view from most people. And Estella goes ahead and follows them, and that's how their friendship and their their conmanship, as it were, goes ahead and develops. And what I really appreciate about that is that before Estella evolves into Cruella, their friendship is incredibly sweet, even though they're doing terrible things. And the three actors really have an incredible chemistry between the three of them. And it's really nice to see Emma Stone, because, and I think you'll all know what I mean, Emma Stone's become so great. She's, an Oscar nominated, Oscar winning actress. She's really done it all at this point. She's been in something like Amazing Spider-Man, those films. She's been in a franchise. She's done the art house stuff. She's done Easy A. She's done the teen comedies. Emma Stone's an incredible actress, and her range, because I believe we kind of all know how great she can be, it's almost like we overlook it and just don't appreciate it. And with a role that Glenn Close played to such perfection in the live action spectrum with both 101 Dalmatian films, because people forget there's 102 Dalmatians, I really like the way that Emma Stone makes this character her own. And when that switch needs to flip, and as she kind of starts to descend more into being Cruella versus Estella, I actually really appreciated it. And I actually thought it was really well done the way they did it. So Horace and Jasper, through one of their cons, they're able to go ahead and get her to work at this the store called Liberty in London. So they get her an entry level position, and that was something that made me laugh really hard, because you think, oh, she'll be an intern or something like that. No, she is cleaning toilets. She is taking out trash. She's doing all the work that, is not glamorous whatsoever. And I really appreciate that they have her doing those sort of things. So she really is grinding and seeing, even though she's cleaning toilets and literal shit, she is seeing how things work there. And I don't have her boss's name here, but her boss is a fucking asshole to her and really treats her like shit. But she's not there for very long, because she has this moment in the film where she gets drunk, steals some of his whiskey, and goes ahead and redoes this store window with this design and these clothes that she absolutely hates. That leads to her being discovered by the Baroness, who's played by the incredible, as always, Emma Thompson. You, of course, know her from, Late Night, Beauty and the Beast, where she played Mrs. Potts, Love Actually, Saving Mr. Banks, Sense and Sensibility, to name a few. And the thing that this movie really shows me as well is that Emma Thompson can pretty much sleepwalk through something. And I'm not saying she's sleepwalking here, don't misunderstand, but her floor is pretty much a great performance. And here, her and Emma Stone have incredible chemistry. If you've seen the trailers, you can probably piece together how their lives intertwine. And I will say, when they do present this quote twist about the relationship, it was something that I even put together from the trailers. It's something my partner called, and she hadn't even seen any of the trailers. I want to say we were maybe 20 minutes in or so, and she went, so if this happens, and I'm thinking this is going to occur, and this is how they're going to do this. And I went, you know what? Okay, I actually really, really dug that. And the thing about their rivalry is that there is this incredible tension as the film begins to get towards its climax, and Estella becomes more and more Cruella. That was something I really like, how they ramped up the tension and how things felt dire as the film went on. Estella's transition into Cruella was something I went, yeah, I actually buy this. And the thing is about this movie, and I can't believe I want to make this comparison, but stick with me here. There is a moment here with Estella that, referring to the Dalmatians bit earlier on, it's almost like the scene in Crystal Skull with the lead fridge. If you just can't accept the fact that these Dalmatians are trained to kill, then what? Sorry, just saying that out loud made me laugh. But if you can't accept the fact that these Dalmatians are trained to kill and how it fuels Estella's turn and kind of where things end up, especially when it gets to some of the heist aspects of the film, which I'll admit there's one thing near the end that I just went, oh, okay, that's a little silly. But if you can get past the insanity of these dogs and it being basically a Batman origin, if you can get past that, I really do believe there's a lot in this film that you're gonna enjoy. And it was something that I was actually really pleasantly surprised by as far as how it was portrayed. What was I gonna say? John McCree is in here. He is an actor who I haven't really seen in anything, so I was like, oh, okay. And so he plays this guy Artie, and Artie runs this shop in London. It's a very posh shop where, you know, he's got designer dresses and vintage things, and they don't come out and say that Artie's very much, I mean, it would not be going out on a limb to say that Artie is gay. That's how he's very much played up. He has this very flamboyant attitude for him. He's dressing Estella basically with all these looks as she goes ahead and transforms into Cruella. He has a very glam rock look to him, which I fucking love, by the way. And I really appreciate the representation because Artie ends up being vital, especially in the third act. And I went, okay, I really appreciate that. And the way that Artie becomes a part of, you know, the crew, as it were, I really thought was very well done. And this is an actor I'd love to see in more things. I was really happy that he's on my radar now. And the other big thing I have to shout out, because I am this nerd and I just appreciate clothes. Jenny Bevan, she was the costume designer on a couple things that I really enjoy, including Mad Max Fury Road, Christopher Robin, Nutcracker in the Four Realms. I wasn't crazy about, but the costume designs were amazing on that. And even the costume designing for Doolittle, while that movie again sucks, she did a great job the costume design. And if I were a fashion designer or an interior decorator or just anything involving, you know, fashion, I would watch this movie because some of the looks in here, especially on Cruella's end, are so incredibly well done and are just fucking beautiful. And seeing Cruella go ahead and just doing these incredible sketches and everything, and drawings for what she is planning on, it was really cool to see that and see how her vision and her mind translates from paper to actually being made. And I don't know, if I was looking to get into the fashion world or anything, this is a movie that I think you could watch and get some ideas from. I was really quite impressed with how all the costuming was done. And there is one scene that Cruella has, that Emma Stone's Cruella has, that really made me go, God damn, I really love this scene. When Estella initially arrives to London as a kid, she goes to this fountain and basically cries and is talking to her mom. And I really like how there's this very sad, broken little girl in the moment after losing her mother to when Cruella goes back there and is basically the most fully realized version of herself. I love how she made this comment about how basically Cruella was in a box for a long time. Estella can be the one to make guest appearances. And I absolutely love that line because it truly shows how far gone she's getting. And I just really enjoyed how that was handled. Some of the action stuff, because there are a couple heists that are done in the film, and it's very Ocean's 11 in that sense of how they kind of lay everything out and relay it to you, the audience. I really enjoyed it, and I believe it's Jasper and Horace have this one dog. Horace loves this dog, and I can't think of the dog's name, but this dog, the way they use him in Heist is really fucking adorable, and it really warmed my heart. But there's a lot to like here. As far as my complaints, it's just really my biggest complaint is it's another Disney origin film that we do not fucking need. There's really no reason for this to exist. I mean, did we need a Cruella origin? Not really. But between just the fact that we don't need this is over 2 hours. It's like an hour, I think it's 132 minutes, I want to say. And it could have been shorter. It could have been a lean 2 hours. Honestly, I think you can cut some of the things out and get this down to an hour, like hour 50, personally. Outside of that, there was nothing for me outside of some of the campiness that I just went, oh God, this fucking sucks. Or, oh, this is pissing me off. I was never mad watching this. I was just more annoyed at some of the decisions. And the other thing, I have to be completely fair here. I don't know if this is something that's going to connect with kids. It's an hour. It's 134 minutes, by the way. But I don't know if this is something that's going to connect with kids because there's just not a lot here for kids. The Dalmatians are barely in this. I mean, there's references to them. You see them every so often, but the Dalmatians were such a vital force, in, of course, 101 Dalmatians, the animated film. And it felt like the dogs had their own personality. The dogs aren't, talking here. So they just feel like normal Dalmatians outside of what we know about Cruella. So I for kids, I really don't know if I wouldn't recommend this for kids, at least for, 8-year-old kids. Maybe for 13-year-old kids, this would be something I'd go, hey, let's put this on. Because again, while this plot isn't, gonna break any records or gonna, change the game, it is well executed, I think, for the most part. But at the end of the day, again, it is just kind of unnecessary. But as I get to my final thoughts here and wrap up, Emma Stone does a hell of a job here. And they do have, and I'm just not going to mention her friend's name just because it's kind of a spoiler. They do have a portrayal of a character that you'll probably know, two characters that you'll probably know, and you'll hear the names and go, oh, that's a coincidence. And it's not a coincidence. And there is a mid-credit scene at the end of this that I really enjoyed that. And I thought that was actually pretty damn clever. It does set up for a sequel. I believe we could still continue to get towards the Cruella that we know and love with Emma Stone. And honestly, wait 5 years if you want. Like, take some time. Don't rush back into the role. Emma Stone apparently was pregnant for part of filming, which I just didn't notice at all. So, I mean, kudos to them. But this is something I tell people to go watch. This isn't, in the same range of something like Nobody or A Quiet Place Part 2 for me, but it's definitely something I enjoyed. And while I didn't, and I'll be the first to admit, I didn't see this in a theater. I saw this at home because I got a screener for it. If I'd paid to see this at a matinee, I wouldn't be mad. I'd go, you know what? Okay, that was pretty much worth the money. So I'm going to give this a solid B. It's by far better than I thought it was going to be. I really thought it was going to be more akin to Dumbo. And luckily, I was wrong. So I'm really happy this was as good as it is. I would say take your kids if they're a little older. Like I said, 13, 14. I think that kids could have something that make them go, okay, I actually enjoyed this. But I would not be showing this to 8-year-old kids. If you, or, anything honestly younger than 12, I would not be showing this to my kids if I had them. Show them the original, show them the 101 Dalmatians, show them the cartoon. But yeah, you don't need to show them this. But everyone, Cruella, have you seen it? What did you think of it? You can go ahead and let us know in the comments. You can like both our pages on Facebook at The Real Pineapple. That's the REEL Pineapple. And you can go ahead and like our game page at Real Pineapple Games. I'm going to be hopping on Twitch here soon, so like both pages. Make sure you're up to date so you'll know when I'm about to go live. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can find us pretty much wherever you listen to podcasts. SoundCloud, Apple and Google Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher and iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, and TuneUp, to name a few, at The Real Pineapple. And don't forget to find yours truly and follow me on the Twitter at JHunterRealPineapple and Nearman the First for my colleague Scott. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. We'll have reviews up this month since we're heading into June. And June is my birthday, June 1st. Whoop, whoop. So we're going to have reviews for just films that I really have wanted to review, as well as we're going to do a couple reviews for Pride, since June is Pride Month as well. So I'm going to have a review for Boys Don't Cry, which I think is one of the best movies I may have ever seen. And it's something that I just haven't reviewed. So I'm definitely going to make a point to review that. as well as some other stuff, as well as most of the Fast and Furious films leading up to Furious 7 before we get to Fast 9. I have some reviews for that, as well as I will have the first episode review for Loki for the premiere when that comes out on June 9th. I'm really excited to review that, and we'll have a full series review when the show's done. But everyone, thank you so much for listening. Take care of each other, wear a mask, go get your COVID shot, and we'll talk to you soon.